Since the invention of the internet 30 years ago, network technology has connected us in increasingly intimate ways. Today, the world is literally at our fingertips through our phones.
We do see the phone as a bit of an extension of ourselves. This is going to be a really enduring technology to have a small screen with you at all times.
The immediacy of connection has radically impacted life in the 21st century, especially when it comes to sex and love.
In the last 5 years, a good third of relationships start from online dating, if not more.
There's a totally new generation of people who are just coming into dating now, and they do not give a shit about those rules.
It's estimated that by 2040, 70% of all couples will have met online. And today, there are over 30 million people on dating apps, all searching for love and orgasms one swipe at a time.
Remember, these sites are a business. These apps are in the money-making business. Of course, they're going to try to make a whole ton of cash off of this, because what's monetized is visibility.
Dating apps have changed the way we meet, the way we date, and the way we fuck.
The biggest online dating sites have only been around for several years. We don't really know in the long term what's going to happen.
Social change and technological innovation are always met with resistance. From the invention of the birth control pill, to the internet porn boom, to dating apps, it's clear that when sex and tech mix, the result is social turmoil. Critics blame dating apps and the rise of hookup culture for catalyzing the dating apocalypse and the death of courtship itself. With all of this in mind, I decided to try out a few dating apps myself and meet their inventors to determine whether the mobile love industry has truly sparked a dating Armageddon or whether this is a dating revolution. We're in LA right now. We're headed towards the beach to meet Julie Spira. She's a cyber dating expert, and she runs something called Mobile Dating Bootcamp, where she basically beats people's dating profiles into shape.
Online dating expert Julie Spira.
Cyber dating expert Julie Spira.
We're going to be dating in a swiping world. Welcome to Online Dating Boot Camp.
She saves people from themselves, basically. I hope she can help me, like swipe with success. Her book talks about the fact that she was one of the really early users of internet dating. So like in 1994, she was on early dating sites before people even really knew what the internet was. So she's been doing this for like 20 years.
Online dating actually goes way back to Lonely Hearts ads back in the 1700s. And that's when people originally started posting these very short profiles. And people would say things like, I prefer a shapely ankle, or I'm worth this much money. And this was the genesis of a person self-articulating in a short way what they thought they could offer to somebody else. What should I select about my identity that I want other people to know first and know as a signal of how attractive I could be to them?
Do you want to help me with my profile? Because I think I need help.
Oh my gosh, I would love to help you with your profile.
I'm going to show you my Tinder profile. I've only been on Tinder for a few weeks.
Wow.
I'm like really putting it all out there.
Your first profile is very sexy. So what are you looking for?
Everyone's always looking to meet someone that they really like, right?
Right.
But I'm okay with not liking someone that much if they're really hot. You know what I mean?
So I'm a writer, 5'9".
Whatevs.
So basically you're not saying very much.
Yeah.
So someone is going to love that photo, and then they've got to basically look at your additional shots. Another sofa shot. God, if I'm a guy, I'm going to think this girl's hot in bed. And the party shot with the friends. Okay, that one I think needs to go. The photo booth shot, all right? You got little kissy things, so guys gonna wanna pucker up and kiss you, all right?
So creating a profile is a really modern invention. It's not something natural for people. The creation of a profile actually affects the way people see themselves.
So find a photo from here that you like.
This is a keychain my friend got for me. It says slut on it.
That cannot be your primary Tinder profile shot.
Okay.
Slut ever, slut? You're saying slut on your... I know it's your brand, and you say you're being authentic and genuine, and you look very sultry, like you look like you just had sex, or or getting ready to have sex. But at the end of the day, you've got these big breasts, and it says slut ever. And we know that's your brand, but guys don't know that. They're gonna be swiping right. Here's a girl calling herself a slut. Yeah, I'm gonna get lucky tonight.
Right. And then, okay, and that's bad.
That's bad. Unless it's what you want.
I guess my attitudes towards sex and dating are pretty evident. I mean, I go by the moniker Slutever, and I write a progressive sex blog.
I think you should try and see if you can find something from one of these, because red, color of love, passion, romance.
Yeah.
So if you could crop the guys out of it.
Yeah.
I happen to like that picture.
He's cute.
He's cute, yes. It's a match. So here's the deal. Now that you have a match on him, rather than keep playing, be proactive. Click send message.
Okay. What should I say?
My Tinder match, Jamie, wanted to meet up that evening.
So you're gonna be filming your date tonight, so your date knows that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that my profile had been given a makeover by a cyber dating professional, I was ready for my first date via Tinder. So I invited him out for a few drinks in Venice.
One of the basic things we know about relationships is that people like to be compatible. So now different apps look for different kinds of similarity. They drive you towards what they think is a specifically happy relationship with their vision of compatibility.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
What's up?
This sounded fun, so different.
Yeah. Well, do you go on Tinder dates a lot?
Yeah.
Do you think Tinder's destroying romance?
Yeah, 100%. You know, there'll be somebody that's on there that I want to talk to and we have great conversation, and then 5, 10 other girls come on there and all of a sudden I start talking to them randomly and I forget that that person's on there. I think you get a lot of the basics out of the way before you even meet up. When you guys meet up, it's like you already have this kind of established connection, but you haven't had the physical connection of being around each other that's developed. So like the little, small nuances of, just the body language and stuff like that, which is very important, which you end up missing out on by interacting completely, through an application.
Could just texting someone for a few hours be the same as running into someone at a bar, getting along with them really well, and then just leaving with your friends, and it just being like a missed connection? You know what I mean? Just a fleeting moment in the world. I think the reason why it's killing it a little bit is because it's so much easier, whereas meeting somebody in a bar, meeting somebody at a coffee shop or a restaurant or anywhere, it's a little more, there's more tension, you know what I mean? Because it's a face-to-face interaction and the opportunity for rejection's there versus swiping right on somebody or swiping, if you both swipe right, then there's a connection's already made for you. There's not that awkwardness that's already built up.
Now, Tinder is just much more about user choice and about reciprocity. What Tinder does is say, you cannot contact me unless I also agree to be interested in you.
I went to this dating coach and she told me that if it was successful, that we should make a plan of when we're gonna hang out again.
Okay.
We could go somewhere else.
Yeah, we could do that.
After my date, I was looking forward to meeting with the Tinder gods who facilitated all of this to begin with.
We're here in LA at Tinder, aka the mecca of dating apps, and we're gonna go upstairs and talk to Sean Rad, the creator, their VP of tech. We're gonna discuss whether the 21st century has spawned the dating apocalypse or in fact the dating revolution.
We gotta stop focusing on the technology in particular and start thinking more about how data about us is created and how it's shuffled around. I think Tinder actually cracked that nut.
Tinder amasses volumes of data. With over 26 million matches per day, it's one of the most used social applications in the world. But what does all this data even do? Is it just another way to make money? Or have they actually discovered an algorithm for love? Hoping to learn what Tinder does with these figures, I sat down with Dan Gould, the VP of Technology at Tinder.
What about the data you collect? Is there any data that's really surprised you or patterns that you've thought were strange?
If you look at straight users, you can look at men swiping on women. And it turns out that you plot the frequency they swipe right versus the person. And it looks exactly like a bell curve. Meaning men are incredibly simple. They're predictable. You can understand their behavior.
We knew that, right?
Then you do the exact same plot, and you do that for women swiping on men. And it turns out that it doesn't look at all like a bell curve. It's a very skewed plot. It's much harder to predict which men women will swipe on than which women men will swipe on. What you have is the chance to meet people who are really right for you, who you could build a much better life with. And I think that's going to change all of society, that people start to find the right people for them. We've seen actually, while years ago the divorce rate went way up, it's actually started to now decline and trail off. And I wonder if a lot of that's due to things like Tinder.
What surprised me the most about mobile dating was what became monetized. What's monetized is visibility. So in a way, we're kind of like advertisers for each other now.
Sean Rad is the co-founder, president, and returning CEO of Tinder, and admittedly uses the app himself.
Dating apps, multi-billion-dollar industry. What do you think about the commercialization of love? Do you sort of get any weird feelings about that?
I think so many industries are about the commercialization of love. When you're single, what you are looking for is that connection. Everything you do, your career, where you go out, everything, there's this undertone of wanting to find somebody to connect with. So many industries indirectly are touching on that need and that desire to connect. Tinder's directly touching on it.
Are we experiencing a sexual revolution now? Is this the 60s all over again in a different digital way?
When you look at a longer term horizon, people evolve, society changes. Every time there's a change and there's a counterculture, there's an enemy. We got so many people that sort of embrace Tinder and love Tinder and see it at the forefront of a very positive change, and then we have people who are afraid of change.
In the past, you've talked about how you feel like eventually the phone will just be an extension of your body.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I think the phone or technology will enhance how we interact with the real world. Tinder already does that. So I think there's, we're pulling in information from the people around you, and we're giving you an interface to interact with that information that you can't get without technology. And I think you'll see that as a theme over the coming, years and decades. I think there will be a convergence between how we interface with life and technology sort of having a place in what we do.
I came out, 17 odd years ago, and I can tell you the rapid evolution of technologies, on the whole, I think a real boon for gay people. So in a way, dating apps are part of this shift towards a normalization of gay people. And that normalization makes people feel validated. It makes them feel inclusive, and it makes them feel that they're not an other. And yeah, that's a really positive development. I mean, we've come a long way in the last 20 years, and the internet, I'm sure, has had a huge part to play in that.
We're here in San Francisco at the office of Her, which is one of the biggest dating apps for LGBTQ women in the world. We're gonna go talk to the creator about hooking up and finding love through your phone. Do you think that for gay people outside of cities where there's a really accepted gay community that, dating apps and using your phone to meet people makes dating safer?
We have countless stories of users who live in the middle of nowhere in America, and when they were questioning their sexuality, they used to have to it would take months or years to build up the confidence to book a motel for the night, to go stay in a city, to go to a gay night for the first time ever by themselves to see if they might actually be able to meet someone. It's awful that it takes that long just to be able to try and understand something about yourself. And I think that's the biggest advantage that you can get from apps, is that you can talk to someone immediately, and you start building understanding and relationships so much faster. There's also an argument of safety comes in numbers, and the more people you meet, the more safer and happier you feel dating.
A lot of people now are successfully able to find a match through online dating in a way that you could almost never do offline. Especially for a lot of minority groups, this ability to search for certain kinds of people online is an absolute boon to their relationships.
After spending a day swiping on Her, I finally matched with Jolene, a party promoter who took me to a queer bar in the Castro.
Can you find love through a dating app?
Absolutely. If you want it, you can have it. Evolution is definitely moving forward.
And people are going on real dates through the app.
They are. What do you mean by real dates, though? What's a real date?
That's true. That's a good question.
Is this not a date right now?
I think we're on a date.
Yeah, I think so.
There's so much moralistic media now around the fact that traditional dating, it's So we should all just get drunk and do shots and meet at a bar? Like that's somehow better? 10 years from now, the definition of what traditional dating is will be completely different. It feels sort of like the sexual evolution all over again.
Absolutely, because ultimately, going on these apps, all the people that download the apps want to meet somebody.
Despite Tinder's domination of the dating app market and the growing options in LGBTQ dating apps, there's a new app that's rapidly growing in popularity. Born in France, Happen is the hopeless romantic of dating apps, using location tracking to match users with people they cross paths with throughout their day. Happen has quickly expanded to 3 million users around the world.
Yeah, here we are, the most romantic place on earth, the Eiffel Tower, also known as the Tower de Eiffel to locals. I got a connection. There's something about Happen that feels more authentic. You know, the idea that maybe you pass someone on the way to work every single day and you sort of never notice each other because you're staring at your phone or whatever. So it says, for example, like, you and Pierre cross paths at 2 p.m. And then if you both like each other, then you can talk. It's quite romantic. It's sort of fitting that it was started here in Paris.
Part of the reason that mobile dating apps work is because they use location. Bill Dutton has this phrase that the internet reconfigures accessibility, who you can access and how you can access them. Basic human needs, especially needs for companionship, needs to be validated, needs to be loved. These are really enduring needs that technology has not changed yet.
Waiting around for love.
Mobile apps don't change basic human needs. A gadget in your pocket is not going to change that basic human need. We're wired for that.
We're here at the Happen HQ. We're about to go in and talk to Didier, one of the founders of the app. It launched about a year ago and it's still expanding, and it's expanding really fast. There's over 6 million users. They're getting an additional 1 million users every month, so it's one of the fastest expanding dating apps, and I want to know why he thinks that is.
I decided to start Happen around 2 years ago, and in fact, the main concern for us was that the dating websites or apps were too virtual. And we wanted to bring back the real world into the dating space. We will believe to the magic of life when you walk in the street and suddenly you meet someone and there is something which is happening. Things can happen everywhere. It's more and more difficult for the people to meet each other in big cities. So Happen, when you see your timeline, this is the story of your life, okay, through the people you have encountered. And also you will keep the memory of all the people you have encountered. Every time you cross paths with someone, you can have a story, which is not necessarily a love or a sex story, okay? It's just meeting the other ones.
It sort of makes sense that, you know, the most poetic of dating apps started in Paris, don't you think?
Oh, so of course, French are the best lovers in the world.
Happen was able to build an app on the notion of classic French romance, so I was feeling hopeful in the City of Lights. It totally happened for me. I crossed paths with an entrepreneur named Pierre. He asked me to meet at a posh restaurant in the 6th arrondissement. It was dimly lit, romantic, and honestly a bit creepy.
People always want that first moment to be a magical moment of some sort, and clicking on someone's thumbnail or swiping right doesn't inspire a lot of romance.
I'm nervous. I usually take a shot before I go on dates, but I forgot. I don't know what to expect. I mean, it's like, that's the thing about meeting someone on an app. I have high hopes.
Pierre, nice to meet you. I don't know how we should do. It's the American way.
Yeah, sorry, that was very American. Here, I'll...
French way, perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think that meeting through an app is like less authentic or less good than meeting in real life?
No.
I think it's the same.
What matters is the person. If the person is interesting, has a good personality.
But you think that because you have access to so many girls or guys through the apps, you think maybe it makes people less likely to actually settle down and be in a relationship?
Definitely.
Yeah.
No. Nobody can fight against novelty. You can switch from an interesting girl to another one, so it make it difficult to fall in love in this case. You are free to choose whoever you want.
Do you usually sleep with girls on the first date?
I haven't precise statistics, but I won't. I promise I will send them to you.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's better, of course, better for a girl not to sleep on the first night.
Why?
Why? If you are immediately satisfied, it doesn't. You have to let your imagination, and it makes obviously a good impression for the girl to say, I don't want, prefer not to, I don't know.
But why for the girl? Like,
yeah, why for the girl?
But why is it important for a girl not to sleep on the first date rather than a guy?
Yeah, you're right.
You sort of have an old school French double standard.
Yeah, but yeah, of course.
Yeah, I sort of like have no patience.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a pity.
So what's your like opening line?
I would be interested in your advice on it.
Oh, what I think you should say?
First of all, I said I just finished a relationship and ended up looking for something serious.
So you're lying to people?
Yeah, of course. But,
that's not good. That is bad. The idea of dating apps is that it's leveling the playing field and you don't have to be manipulative with people.
Well,
you can say...
But seduction is manipulation, so to a certain extent. So
That's a good point.
Sex is not the absolute thing in life. You know that you can have sex whenever you want, so you don't want it anymore.
You know, people say like dating apps cause sex addiction, and I don't think that that's true.
No.
Because
it maybe causes more sex disgust.
Yeah, no, but that's true. You're like, oh, like the first time it's so exciting, you're like, do you think that the sex is any different that you have through apps than it is with someone you meet in real life?
It depends. If it's clear, if it's only for sex, yes, maybe.
But that's an interesting takeaway from dating apps is that because there's more competition now, you have to be better at everything. Maybe it's just like everyone's game is being upped.
And maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Also, maybe not. The day was good. It was fine. I thought he was nice, and I thought we had a good conversation, but he had a little bit of a sexual double standard, which is not something that I find attractive at all, but I did enjoy the meal.
The sexual double standard is not about sexual practices, it's about social practices. It's about how people communicate their sexual lives to others. You can be very sexually active and have most of your personal network not know at all. Calling a woman a slut is a way of shaming her within a social group. But if that social group is no longer relevant to dating, it's just saying you guys aren't relevant anymore. Your judgment of me is not relevant anymore.
The most controversial and perhaps the most progressive of all dating apps is based in London.
Do you think our generation's doomed because we are all fucking through dating apps?
Yeah, I think it's a bad thing, to be honest.
Really? So, do you use dating apps?
Yeah, I use Tinder. I just really recently joined it.
Have you ever met anyone on it?
No, I've never actually gone on a Tinder date, no.
You just need to spend more time on the app.
I know, I clearly need to get swiping.
What's your stance on dating apps?
They're fine, aren't they? They're convenient. It's not as good as real life, but they're like quite quick and easy.
What were your weird Tinder experiences?
It wasn't a catfish, but it was almost like a catfish. Her face was the same, but she was about like really, really short.
So I'm here in London. We're about to go meet Demo, the creator of Thrinder,
which has been dubbed as the notorious threesome app and has gotten a lot of sensational press.
Apparently Demo's somewhat of a character. He's only 25 years old. He doesn't work out of an office. He works out of a park. He seems sort of like run and gun, all over the place crazy, so this should be really interesting. So why did you start Thrinder?
My girlfriend had this feeling for a girl, and she wasn't feeling comfortable. She even wrote me a letter, how she felt about it. I was like, oh, that's nothing wrong with it. You should not be worried about this stuff. So I decided to make this thing to sort of prove that there's absolutely nothing wrong with the way she feels about people.
So it's like you sort of created Thrinder as a love letter to your girlfriend to prove to her that there's nothing wrong with being bisexual.
Yeah. I said there must be a place where people can talk open about stuff without being called weirdos. Even if they're weird should not be a bad word. We don't target girls, we don't target men. It's just open, and whoever goes there, goes there. I believe there should be a space where these people should thrive.
So one of the things that we found in online dating, and that's the shift towards networked individualism. We express ourselves as single individuals and connect to single other individuals. You can search for all sorts of very specific kinds of people. Someone might be interested in people that are mainly tall or short, someone who's very extroverted or into a specific kind of music. You just might not find that sort of person in your social network, but you may be able to search for them and use them as a category instead.
I want to set up a date for Tinder tonight, if possible. Can you help me? There's so many kinky people.
I had a match. Go up. I had a match with these guys. Go up. Go up. No, this guy.
You had a match with that guy?
It's a couple.
That's interesting that only the man shows his face.
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Got a match. Woo! Playtime. Ooh, they're attractive.
Hey, I had a match with them as well.
Okay, I'm gonna message them. What should I say?
I had a hard time finding a Tinder couple in London to speak with me about their experiences, for fear of judgment. Unfortunately, the world has a long way to go in terms of sex positivity. But thankfully, when I got back to New York, I matched with a gay couple who were willing to spill the dirt on the threesome app experience. So I met with Brandon and Bobby at their apartment in Harlem.
Hey. Hello.
What's up?
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
To the bed.
To the bed.
So, how long have you guys been together?
We've been together for about 4.5 years now. Yeah, we met in person, believe it or not. One of the few couples these days that do that.
Especially gay couples.
Oh, God, yeah. The whole app thing has taken away the ability for people to actually speak in public. It's easier to go online and just say like, oh, I like your pics. Let me message you here.
But do you think apps like Tinder are helping to destigmatize kinky sex or group sex?
Oh my God, absolutely. And I remember calling Bobby and being like, holy shit, this eliminates 99% of the problems that we have.
Because there's a pool of people who are already saying, I want to bang two people at once.
Right. People are on there for threesomes. People are on there to meet other couples. And everybody's already open-minded and everybody understands what the app is for.
Can you describe your Tinder experience to me? Like, what happened?
So
we met a guy from Brooklyn. He was really cute.
He was so much fun and the sex was great. And after, we all cleaned up, we all laughed, I think we all had a little bit of ice cream, and we all fell asleep together and laid in bed and just cuddled. And it's not even about just sex, it's having a connection. And
that's cute. It's cute that you let them sleep over.
Yeah, oh my God, please, we're happy to.
Yeah.
So, do you think that technology and these apps have made your lifestyle easier?
Absolutely. I think over the years, it's gotten better. And now, you know, with Tinder, it's there, it's easy, and it's like a one-stop shop. I think I almost deleted every other app that I had.
You guys seem really fun to have a threesome with.
I mean, well, the cameras are off, you can hang out still.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm invited.
I mean, it might just be me and you. Yeah, he needs more wine, I think.
Our possibilities for connection have immensely expanded. But with freedom comes responsibility.
When we start to make review sites of people, and like, how was that hookup? Would you rate it from, 1 to 5 stars? And then people will pay to have the bad reviews taken down. That's where it's going to be trouble. And that's when we start taking the reputation economy, which is working pretty well for eBay and for Uber, and then start directing that at our very selves.
There will always be people who find doomsday scenarios in social change. Fear of technology is nothing new. But the reality is, dating apps have given us the tools to find the partner that we want, when we want them, no matter where we are.
This is neither going to be the end of enduring relationships, nor is it going to be the one true way to finding a partner. People are still going to meet at work. Proximity is still super important. That's one of the reasons why it's still the most popular place to find a spouse or partner. So it's not like mobile dating apps are completely changing the game. they're just kind of using what's more effective. It's going to be up to people to find out what they want out of these mobile dating apps and whatever comes in the future.